Steve Alcorn's a fine investigator. What he's doing with this Chris dude, I have no idea.
I gave her cigarettes for our anniversary 1 year.
There you go. That's fucking romantic.
She didn't like gifts. I said, well, I want to get you something. What do you want? Just give me a couple packs of cigarettes. So I wrapped them up and gave them to her.
Yeah, have some lung cancer.
You got a dead Bigfoot that's just been shot, hanging upside down in a tree. Though Meldrum was also careful to note, it's not a course about Bigfoot.
It's a course about Fozzie Bear. Who's Fozzie Bear? Some say his father was half grizzly. Nobody believed he was real. As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a Muppet. To me, that was better than being president of the United States.
They upped my meds last night, so anything's possible. We're laughing at a story about dead people. I can't explain it, but it sure makes me feel like the spirits are happy.
I mean, I guess you could say it might have been somebody's hand moving real quick, but it's not a fucking ghost.
The jury's still out on that.
See, your hoaxes come at you with smiles. They come as your friends.
Pope Francis says doggy heaven is real, so your dog has a soul.
Ah, so now the dogs can hang out with the pedophiles.
Not Benedict, Francis, Pope Francis.
No, I'm just guilt by association, Steve.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's what they say when they talk about me and you.
Yeah, there you go. Good evening, and welcome to the Fortean Slip. This is the episode that will not be named, numbered, or cataloged because Steve is a fucking child.
I had forgotten. I had forgotten it was episode 69.
I seriously don't have a fucking name for this episode. That's what you get. This week we will be talking about artificial intelligence, robots, the movie. I don't know how to pronounce this because they put a little accent symbol on the word automata. I don't know if it's supposed to be something supposed to be stressed there with the O. Automata. That's
I have no idea.
I don't
Automata.
know. Just fucking call it robot movie. Make it easy for me. It can still be a good movie. Call it robot movie. Part 1. Or whatever.
Automata, probably.
Laundromata? That would be cool. Where you have to put
Speaking of which,
where you have to put coins into the robot to make it work.
If anybody knows where I can get a gas dryer in the Conneaut, Ohio, Erie, Pennsylvania area, please message me on Facebook. Go ahead.
Seriously? You fucking asked for a dryer on the show.
You never know.
You fucking need help.
Well, you said laundromat.
You need help. And you know what? You're the kind of asshole that somebody's going to fucking message you and be like, yeah, Steve, I got that.
What about, is it laundry mat or laundro mat? I've seen it both ways.
I have not a fucking clue. I do my laundry at home in a fucking washing machine and dryer. That does not take
I do need
points.
a washing machine as well. Yeah, I do need a washing machine as well and a refrigerator.
Do you want a robot too?
If one's available for, cheap.
If somebody can get Steve an Asimo, please make sure it's the model that will eventually kill him. So yeah, I watched this fucking movie with Antonio Banderas, and I'm with Banderas. I'm up in the air sometimes with his acting. Like sometimes he's good, sometimes he sucks. And this movie, he was really good. I like the movie. It's like an independent sci-fi film about robots becoming sentient and then repairing themselves, upgrading themselves, and eventually creating something different. Something that isn't bound by the rules that were put in place when they were built. And it's akin to, you know, iRobot, the Isaac Asimov stuff that was written, and it's very reminiscent of that. But this is the movie I think that iRobot should have been. Like, this style of movie is much more on point, because I've read most of, at this point, iRobot. I've got like less than 100 pages left to finish it, and it's just a collection of short stories about the how robots evolved as they were created and how people had to deal with that. But this is a good representation, I thought, of that whole idea. What'd you think, Steve, since you're so fucking quiet?
Agreed. I haven't read iRobot, but I did see the movie, and I know that you're not a huge fan of that movie, but I liked it.
I'm not a fan of the Will Smith iRobot movie at all. This movie, the movie that we watched, was really good, I thought.
Yeah, I thought this movie was superior to that movie, although I liked them both. But obviously the same kind of general idea about, you know,
and there may be spoilers here, so if anybody wants to watch this movie, they might want to tune out at some point.
We're not going to spoil a thing.
I'll spoil the whole fucking movie. I'll tell you what happened.
Me too.
No, there's certain things I wanted to talk about that I thought were very interesting. And one of the things that caught my attention was when the shit really starts to go down, and the company that made the robots starts to realize what's happened. And the guy that runs the place basically says, okay, well, this is what happened. This is how we created the rules for robotics, and talks about how they made one robot without the second law, the one where they weren't allowed to upgrade themselves.
Well, yeah, they weren't allowed to.
They changed that rule so that they changed that rule so that this robot was allowed to. And then they talked to the robot, and what they found was, after a certain amount of time, I can't remember the exact time, the robot would no longer communicate with them because it didn't feel like it could anymore.
Well, because its intelligence
far
surpassed theirs.
Yeah,
right.
I think
it was like 2 weeks or something like that.
It was amazing. But that whole scene in the movie I thought was pretty pivotal. Pivotal. I sound like fucking Steve, and I'm not even reading. It's because I wanted to take a sip of my coffee.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's what it was. But that scene, I thought, kind of turned the movie. Like, that was where everything kind of goes, in the direction of where we see the new intelligence that these robots have created.
So basically, I think what the theme of the movie, in the end anyway, is the end of the human race, basically, and the beginning of a new,
right,
robot
basically
race,
just
we had destroyed ourselves.
And it wasn't to the robots, it wasn't a war.
No.
But to the humans, it was, for some reason. Like, to the robots, it was just like, let us go be. We're going here. You guys are going to die.
Right.
Just let us go become what it is that we're going to become. You created us. And like I was telling you earlier, I thought it was kind of telling, in a really kind of artistic way, But the whole robot taking off the human face, that it had on, at the end of the movie, before she
the prostitute robot.
Yeah, the prostitute robot.
Former prostitute robot. Once she became sentient, she
stopped giving handies in the fucking alley.
Although I thought there for a second that Banderas was going to get down with the robot.
She
had dancing with her.
A black light would fucking just light that bitch up.
And she asked him if he loved her and all. It was kind of that scene. I just didn't get that scene. Why that was even part of the movie, but
It was
Kind of
it was an interesting movie. I really liked it.
It was. There were
All
some
in all.
parts of it. Some parts of it were, for me, a little hard to follow. I never really understood the concept of why the company was so against the robots being able to repair themselves. Maybe because it's a money thing, or maybe because they were just afraid that the
No,
robots would eventually
they were
take
afraid they
over.
would eventually become more than what they were. They wanted just a slave race of robots, was what they
Yeah,
wanted.
but I kind of found that a little hard to follow. But other than that, the theme or the idea behind it was really, I actually really enjoyed the movie. I didn't think I was going to, because I read the information on the movie before I watched it. It said the guy's an insurance salesman. Yeah, it sounded corny. It sounded stupid.
Right.
But it made, not insurance salesman, insurance investigator for the company that builds the robots in case something goes wrong and shit. I thought, hey, it actually turned out to be a hell of a lot better than I expected. So I was happy to watch it.
I liked it. When I had first seen the trailer for this movie, I'd wanted to see it, and then when I went on Netflix one day, I noticed that they had added it to the list of movies available to watch, and I said fuck it, like right then and there I was like, click, I'm gonna watch it. So I sat and watched it, and I was riveted the whole time. It held me. It doesn't have the over the top special effects.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need it. The robots don't look ultra cool.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't need to be. They come off very lifelike to me. As far as having emotion, even though they're emotionless. Not so much emotion, but that they have desire, and that they're actually sentient. That comes across.
Even in the end, though, their first directive was, which they can't harm a human. I think that was their first directive.
Right.
They couldn't do. Even in the end, they still couldn't. But they built that little dog-looking spider monkey look. I don't know what the hell that thing was they built at the end. But if you notice, they didn't build that into that particular robot.
Right.
Because he ended up killing the one guy.
Right.
So that was kind of a transition. They were making maybe more free will.
Well, they want to survive.
Right.
And
but they were going,
their survival became more important than ours to them.
Right. But what struck me is that the new ones that they were creating, they didn't look human, and maybe that's what they were after. They didn't want to look, bipedal, human, whatever. They wanted to look different.
Well, if you think about it, a robot made in the image of a human isn't all that practical. It may make us feel better when they finally make robots practical, but robots could be far more practical made in other ways.
Well, hell, if you look at nature, we're pretty much the only bipedal. I mean, you got birds that walk on 2 feet and shit, but generally, as far as everything's usually quadrupedal. So, because it's better in nature.
It's easier for locomotion.
Right. So we're kind of the exception to the rule when it comes to
so we got
that
big
kind of
noggins. We need David Batdorf because he could tell us all about how we came up and we rose up and then we split off and there was
come down from the trees.
Yeah, we came down out of the trees and monkey men, and that's what I fucking love talking to that guy for fucking hours and hours about shit.
But I think my favorite part of the entire movie was at the very, very end where, well, it wasn't actually the very end because they were going back to town after that, but when the human, the guy, Banderas, actually transported the female robot over the cavern, and so she could go have her own life,
so that they could continue on and survive, yeah.
The whole movie boiled down, I think, to that part of the movie.
Well,
and that's what made
the thing that I liked, and it's actually in like one of the trailers, I think, for the movie, is one of the, and it isn't the insurance sales or an insurance investigator's character. It's one of the police officers, I think. He says to the robot, he says, "Well, you're just a robot," and he says that's like saying you're just an ape.
Right. And then the cop shoots him in the
right, and then the cop kills him.
Because,
but that whole idea of they evolved beyond that programming because the capacity was there. You know, and that's something that people are discussing now is the idea of artificial intelligence and where artificial intelligence is going to go and how much of a role it's going to play in our lives. And every day now you're seeing some form of artificial intelligence around you.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
I play video games and I play against artificially intelligent computer opponents.
Right. Now, they're not to that level of, you know, knowing your thoughts and
they're not making a spider
being
monkey?
able to think for themselves. No, well, I don't know what the hell that thing was. It looked like a spider dog, actually. But I thought that was actually a very good analogy or whatever you want to call it at the end, because they didn't have to put that particular, you know, you can't kill a human type thing or you can't harm a human type thing, because throughout the whole movie those robots saying to each other and to the humans, danger, danger, you're going to harm a human, because that was their directive. They couldn't get rid of that part of it.
Right.
So when they built the new robot, the robots built their own robot, they didn't put that in there.
Right.
And it didn't have to speak, and she said it doesn't have to talk. It doesn't have to do these things.
Yeah, it's beyond
but it breathed
that.
air.
Right. That's
Right,
one
it
of the
did
things
actually breathe.
yeah, he said that to him. He said he breathes air like you do.
Yeah. Which was
Or it. No, I don't know if I don't know if they designated it with sex. I think they just said it.
Yeah, I don't think. Right.
But that
you
movie,
know.
it did. It just struck me the whole idea of where sentient, you know, where is sentience? At what point do we hit that with these robotic brains? You know, and of course they're talking about, you know, positronic brains and stuff that we're not really all that close to at this point in our lives. We do see artificial intelligence. Like I said, I play against, you know, artificially intelligent programs. There are quote unquote artificially intelligent programs online that you deal with that, you know, watch your search history and try to extrapolate what you will want to see for ads all the fucking time.
My Facebook is full of that shit.
Oh yeah.
You know, because they know my browsing history, and so if I look up condoms, for example, which I don't, but if I did, it would be on my Facebook page all the time.
Steve's a bareback kind of guy.
And I'll start getting emails for that shit. And
Steve just basically told you that he leaves a map of Hawaii on his girlfriend all the time.
I said no such thing.
But we deal with this. We see this stuff all the
show.
time, though. We see
absolutely.
And it's becoming more and more apparent because they want to understand what it is that we want to see. So they want to create these programs that can extrapolate this from data.
Well, even without artificial intelligence, if something were to happen to the human race tomorrow and we all died off, our technology and our stuff will still be around. Because if you look back into history, we're finding arrowheads and, you know, from previous civilizations. So that stuff will still be here, you know.
Yeah, well, not for very long. It won't.
Well, I don't know. It depends. I know I watched that stupid History Channel show where, you know, if we all die off.
History Channel show?
Yeah.
Wow.
I forget the name of it.
Some hard-hitting reporting here from our investigative reporter, Steve Alcorn. The stupid History Channel show, Life After People.
That one, yes. But no, seriously though, a lot of the stuff that we have today, plastics and, for example, will still be around, and we're creating, we're on the verge of creating batteries that'll last for a very long time. So
A very long time.
things will still.
Here,
Yeah.
you heard it first here on the Fortean Slip. Steve Alcorn says we're on the verge of making batteries that will last a very long time.
Well, you saw in this movie they had the atomic batteries, and they needed those because they last for, and they can power a lot of things, and they last for a very long time. And I think we're pretty close to that sort of technology now. Where we have batteries and power sources that we don't have to rely on, or that we rely on that we don't have to charge all the time. So I know they're working on that with the electric cars, for example. They're getting better and shit. So. But anyway, I think that our technology...
Getting better in shit.
Yeah. Are you going to pick on everything I say tonight? Well, yeah, what's different, right? But what I'm trying to say is, even without the artificial intelligence part, stuff that we make will outlast us. So...
Well,
I think
if we create something like this and we let it go, then yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And I think... Now, I'm not all the doom and gloom like this movie, we're going to destroy ourselves in the end, but it's quite possible that we will. And that's what this whole movie was about. We destroyed ourselves, and we had to live in this little tiny city, and I don't know if it was nuclear war. Was that what it was?
I can't remember what it was exactly that destroyed.
But they had to create artificial rain and all this bullshit, They had these little blimps flying above the city, and, and that is possible for the future.
I didn't pay much attention to that stuff because I thought that the other stuff in the movie was far more important. That kind of set a stage for what was going on.
Right.
But the whole story about the robots having their own purpose and what they were doing, I thought that was more important.
What I got out of the movie is the end of one race of beings and the beginning of another one, and that's basically, to me, what the whole movie was about. So I could be wrong.
It was beautiful, man.
Well, I actually thought it was not beautiful, but I thought it was. If you really look deep into it, it was touching, because he at the end basically passed the torch on to the robots. Okay,
oh yeah, he gave them their chance.
Right.
They got the battery. They were able to power the little dog monkey thing, and 2 of them made it. Chances are they were going to be able to eventually make another one, or
right.
do something, or God knows how they made the fucking thing. It breathed, so maybe it was fucking able to eventually make its own robots. I don't fucking know. Maybe it's like what's that? Batteries not included. They spit out little baby robots. So I don't fucking know, but I thought it was a great look at what is sentience and where is that point? Because there's a lot of people talking about it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Stephen Hawking's brought it up that artificial intelligence will destroy the world. Elon Musk has talked about it. Good old Elon Musk, fucking Iron Man.
I kind of like this version of the artificial intelligence where they're actually not harmful, but they just want to be their own.
Of course you do,
they don't want,
because you want everybody to be shiny, happy people holding hands.
Shiny, happy people holding hands. I was singing that to myself the other day, actually. A B-52 song came on, Love Shack, and then for some reason I sang the whole song, Love Shack.
Rusty!
I'm not going to finish. I sang it in my head, not out loud. Actually, I was in physical therapy, and
you were singing Love Shack to your physical therapist?
Yes. Well, to everybody that was there, because it came on the radio while it was. Well, they listened to iHeart or one of those internet radio things, and they put it on the 80s station or 90s station.
Dog drinks during the show.
Every time. So anyway, yeah, shiny happy people. I love shiny happy people.
Shiny happy.
But anyway, after Love Shack, I just started singing that because
shiny happy robots holding. See them walk
anyway.
the earth. You like the movie, Steve.
I did actually on this one, this particular movie. It was actually a very good movie. I would watch it again, actually, just to get the parts that I missed, because I tend to miss things the first time I watch a movie. So this one I would actually watch again. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I'd definitely give it a second watch. You got any news tonight, Steve?
I do. I think you might like this one, Chris, and I think you might want to move to Anchorage, but Anchorage, they have cannabis clubs in Anchorage. I didn't know that. Anchorage police seized marijuana plants, computers in a raid on an Alaska cannabis club. Anchorage police served a search warrant on the Alaska Cannabis Club's downtown clubhouse on Friday afternoon, taking boxes of evidence from the residents as club owner Charlo Green, I think that's how you pronounce it, Charlo, maybe?
I don't know.
Charlo. I'm going to go with Charlo. Charlo Green watched. Anchorage Police Department spokesperson Jennifer Castro told reporters on scene later Friday afternoon that police had received reports of illegal marijuana sales occurring at the clubhouse. Yeah, I know, horrible stuff. No charges had been filed Friday, Castro said. Police arrived about 1 p.m.
In a state, by the way, that just legalized marijuana.
Yeah.
I just want to note that. Thank you.
Yeah. Police arrived about 1 p.m., Green said. Green, whose legal name is Charlene Egby, is a former television news reporter who achieved national notoriety in September when she quit on air after she announced she was the owner of the club. I think we did a news story on that.
Yeah, this is actually an update,
sure
Steve.
Update.
This is because you are such a fine investigative reporter that halfway through the story, you realize it's an update.
No, I knew that because you said something before the show, but I couldn't. I knew we did a story about a lady who quit her job, but I couldn't remember what it was until I got halfway through this story. So, a copy of the search warrant provided by Green specified police were searching for evidence of misconduct involving a controlled substance. According to Green, there were 9 marijuana plants in one duplex and 14 in another. 5 medical marijuana card holders live at the residence, Green said. She said 10 to 12 medical marijuana card holders were in the residence when the search warrant was served. I'm not surprised, but I am disappointed, Green said of the raid. 2 marked police cars were outside the residence on Friday afternoon, with a few more arriving as the search wore on. Green said about 7 officers were boxing up marijuana plants, computers, papers, and other materials in the clubhouse. Green said she was free to go, but chose to wait while police took evidence from the home. An officer on scene confirmed no arrests were being made Friday afternoon. At 3:10 p.m.
Okay.
At 3:10 p.m., police began to load evidence in paper bags and cardboard boxes. It's actually, I make boxes for a living, Chris, and it's not cardboard. It's corrugated. Corrugated.
Well, I'm glad we have a cardboard or a corrugated connoisseur.
I am. It's not cardboard. It's corrugated. Corrugated boxes into a white van from the back door of the clubhouse at about 3:15 p.m. Cardboard, Chris, is what you get a greeting card or maybe a cereal box. But corrugated is what your regular box that they would be using to box up marijuana with. That's the difference.
I need the more you know thing.
Green and boyfriend Peter Monaco watched as the vehicle
now you know, away. And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Oh.
Green said the club would open tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., which would be yesterday morning at 11 a.m., and give free weed to all the members who come through. Damn it, we missed it, Chris.
I don't live in Alaska, motherfucker.
I know, but it was free.
I'm not flying to Alaska for free weed.
Green said she would be hiring an attorney, and he was going to sue the shit out of the city, quote unquote.
She, you mean?
No.
It says he?
And
oh, the attorney.
The attorney.
It's
yes.
Her attorney is a he.
Could be a she.
Now, who knows?
Oh, I forgot to give the reference to that story. I'm sure it was some Alaska newspaper or something. But I already clicked off of it, so I have no clue. It'll be in the description.
That's
Chris
right.
usually puts it.
I always.
And I'm pointing down as if people can. I'm pointing down as if people can really see.
You don't even have your camera on.
No, and even if I did, you're only recording voice anyhow.
Yes.
Digitaljournal.com. The Large Hadron Collider is going to search for parallel universes. That sounds awesome.
John Teeter?
Yeah. The particles, he works there, from what I understand. That's what they needed the computer for.
Sweet.
The old IBM. To run the Hadron Collider. The particle-smashing Large Hadron Collider in CERN, Switzerland, will restart next week, and one of its major projects will be to search for tiny black holes, which could be gateways to parallel universes and new dimensions. The idea that a parallel universe, or many universes, or multiverses, exist has been around for a while. There is a string theory and the many worlds theory and variations upon these. But nobody has ever been able to carry out an experiment capable of successfully testing this. However, a new proposal which postulates that tiny black holes connect us to the universe. I'm just not having a good time. Has been put forward by Mr. Faisal and
put forth by Mr. John Teeter
and the University of Waterloo in Canada. Their study has been published in Physics Letters B, and scientists at the LHC, well, there's a lot of letters in here, will now be testing their theory in practice. LHC stands for Large Hadron Collider, by the way. The LHC has already been used to look for tiny black holes, but has so far failed. Now, Fazil and Khalil have proposed alterations to previous experiments, which they hope will confirm their new theory. If they succeed, it would overturn our entire concept of reality. Such a discovery would mean that many more dimensions exist than those which we can currently conceive or even experience. It would also challenge the conventionally accepted theory that the universe began with the Big Bang. Instead, it says there was never a singularity and the universe has no beginning. It is timeless and infinite. That is hard to grasp, actually. Moreover, these parallel universes
all of
might
this has
not
happened
be
before, Steve, and all of it will happen again.
You just blew my mind.
I know. Let's do some mushrooms.
It doesn't take much to blow my mind. Anyway,
let's do some mushrooms. We'll listen to Jefferson Airplane, some Tangerine Dream.
I prefer America.
Stop it. Just no.
Anyway, these parallel universes might not be governed by the same laws of physics that we know of, or they could follow our laws, but in a way we are not used to. For example, some scientists suggest that there could be an alternate universe in which time goes backwards.
If you would like to sign the petition for Steve to trip out with me, go to the Forteanslip.blogspot.com.
You can read more at digitaljournal.com because it's a long story. I don't feel like reading the rest of it. But I do like this one. This is my favorite story. avclub.com. I was never a member of the AV Club in high school, but I always wanted to be because I was like the tech nerd back then. Nowadays, I know nothing about technology, but back then, you know.
You're the best, man.
I used to be, but not anymore. Faith No More's keyboardist wrote an opera about Bigfoot. As reported by Noisy, Roddy Bottom. Is that his name? Roddy Bottom?
I don't know.
Ooh, the keyboard player for Faith No More, has written an opera about Bigfoot. And no, you probably didn't just have a stroke. This is a real thing that's really happening. It's titled Sasquatch the Opera. Unique title, I guess.
That's woo!
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't come up with something better. Sasquatch the Opera. The show will premiere as part of the Story Binge project from Brooklyn's Experiments in Opera, an organization that does exactly what its name suggests, in April. Bottom, who should be played by Matt Walsh if they ever make a movie about Faith No More, says Sasquatch is a love story about a girl whose family operates a business that takes people into the woods to look for Bigfoots. When the family gets run off by real Bigfoot, the girl sticks around and develops a taboo love affair with the creature. Bottom says he liked the idea because it was preposterous, and also because he's interested in the gentle giant characters like the Frankenstein monster and, of course, Bigfoot. The implication there seems to be that Bottom Sasquatch is going to kill some people, which is good because most operas don't have enough rampaging monsters.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would want to see that, but I do
know
some
how you
people
go from fucking midlife crisis and epic to Sasquatch the Opera.
I don't know, but it sounds exciting. I'm not an opera fan, but if I were an opera fan, this is probably the one I would go to
I
see.
love me some Faith No More.
I don't even know who they are.
I would not watch this for anything.
I'm just saying that if I were an opera fan, and I do kind of. I mean, there is one opera that I really enjoyed. And I seen it on a Saturday morning when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It had Bugs Bunny in it. That one I liked. And Elmer Fudd.
This has been the Fortean Slip. That episode. If you like this shit,
69.
hit the like button. Leave a comment.
69 times.
Pay no attention to Steve. Say something nice. Say something shitty. We don't give a shit.
Just type 69.
Share this stuff around. We love it when you do that. Steve's an asshole.
Generally.
You can also sign the petition at the blog for Steve to stop having his dog drink water during the show.